Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy Miguel back again with a very interesting today because I have the A14, the Galaxy A14 from Samsung in my hand. And this is probably one of the cheapest phones that I've had to review. And the big question that I had about this phone when it initially came in was, does cheaper actually mean bad? Or can this actually be a phone that is great for everyday use for someone that has a very low budget? Well, we're gonna do a quick unboxing and then find out. Looking at the phone, we don't really have a lot to unbox because this phone doesn't come with anything apart from the SIM pin and apart from just the charging cable. It doesn't come with a charger. There's nothing much in the box. Down here, we can see that we have 4 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of internal storage. This does also come with a 64 gig version that is a little bit slightly cheaper than this one. And the color that we have is silver. Let's go ahead and take it out of the box and really quickly see what we have in our hands. So we have the phone right in front of us, and it has an Infinity V display as it mentioned here, which means that the notch is in a V shape. We have a fingerprint sensor and we have a triple camera array on the back. Quickly taking a look at the box, we have some paperwork, I think. Yeah, so we have some paperwork here, and we also have the charging cable, which is a USB-C to USB-C cable, and we have our SIM pin over here. So let's take a look at the phone real quick. Let me remind you guys, this is the A14 5G variant, so this has a 5G chip. We have a very thick phone here with us, and this whole phone is actually made up of plastic. Now, this is the successor to the A13 5G, which was last year's phone. The difference between the A13 and the A14 is that we now get a better display. So we get a 6.6-inch display, which is an LCD display still, but this has 90 Hz of refresh rate, and it now also has a 1080p resolution, which is full HD. Pixel density as well is 440 ppi, which is okay, I guess, for the price point of this phone, which I'm going to mention in a little bit. Looking at the design of the phone, we have our power button here, which also doubles up as a fingerprint sensor. We also have the volume rockers here. On this side, we really don't have a lot. We have the SIM tray, which houses 2 SIMs, and on top of that, you can actually put in a micro SD card if you want to. Here we have the microphone. On the bottom, we have the speaker, the USB-C port, and this also supports a 3.5mm audio jack. Now, looking at the display, which is obviously the big upgrade from last year's A13, this now comes with a 90 Hz refresh rate, and this is a dynamic display, which means that it will come down to 60 whenever it's needed. So that's good to see that Samsung at this price point even put a dynamic 90 Hz display. The only thing that I don't like is the colors and the bezel, because the bezel is really thick. I mean, it's uncomfortably thick, and the colors are also not very accurate. They're not too vivid. I think they can use a little bit more contrast, and that's one of the feedbacks that I have. But again, at this price point, you kind of expect these things, and this phone is not really there to impress you. This is a phone for people who just want to spend the bare minimum and then just have something that they can make phone calls, even maybe take photos, and just use this for social media. The good part is that this does come with a 5000 milliampere battery. It kind of gives you good battery life, so that's one of the positives about the phone. So it has a 500 milliampere battery, and that's supposed to last you all day, probably even a day and a half if you were to stretch it out. When it comes to the charging, this supports 15 watts of charging, and I think it also supports up to 25 watts, but 15 watts wired is what it supports. It does not have wireless charging capabilities. When it comes to the cameras, we have a triple camera array on the back, and I have to say that the main 50 megapixel camera is the only camera that I saw which was pretty decent in my opinion, and even for this price point, it takes really good pictures. The only thing is that you have to have good lighting. So if you have good lighting, this is going to take pretty good pictures. The other camera, we have a 5 megapixel ultra wide camera, and then we also have a 2 megapixel macro camera, which I'm not going to review. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. The main 50 megapixel camera is good enough for social media, taking videos. And talking about videos, this will shoot in 1080p at 30 fps. So no, it doesn't have 4K capabilities. But again, at this price point, I think it's kind of expected and it's kind of acceptable. On the front as well, we have a teardrop design, or as Samsung put it, a V-shaped design camera, which is a 13 megapixel camera. Now, when it comes to the performance, that's where it kind of gets interesting, because depending on where you are located, you're going to get different variations. If you get the US variant, you're going to get the MediaTek's Dimensity 600 chip. The better chip amongst all the variants that this comes with is going to be the Indian variant, which comes with Exynos 1330 chip, and that is a chip that I would actually personally want out of the rest of the lineup. This also comes with the Helios G80 chip as well, and when it comes to performance, there's not really a lot of difference between these, but out of these three, the Exynos chip is the chip that I would actually want to go with. But again, depending on your region, you may not be lucky, or you may not have the option to go with that. If we look at the numbers, then again, it's not really impressive. This comes with 4 gigs of RAM. When we did the Antutu benchmark test, this gave us around 148,000 to 150,000 points, which again is very low. At the end of the day, you consider the price point, you consider that you're getting an actual phone for around $130, and if you translate that into dirhams, that's nearly 400 to 600 dirhams depending on the variant that you go with. So if you go with the 128 gig variant, that's going to cost you around 600 dirhams. If you go for the 64 gig version, then that starts with around 460 dirhams, something like that. So yeah, if you're looking for a budget phone, then this is it. I mean, if you want Samsung, then yeah, you can spend around 500 dirhams and get yourself a Samsung. I should mention that this comes with Android 13, which is paired with One UI 5. The only thing is that you don't get the full Android support. So there's a few things, a few features that you're not going to see. So you won't be able to see Samsung Pay with this. You won't be able to get Bixby. Apart from that, if you want a budget phone, if you want to spend 500 dirhams on a phone, then look no further. This is a Samsung phone. It's going to provide you good camera quality, a great battery life, and a 90 Hz display, which even though it has really fat bezels and I don't like it, but at least it's better than last year's A13. What I would do is maybe spend around 200 dirhams more, 300 dirhams more, and kind of go for something like an Honor phone. So the Honor 90 Lite, which I reviewed a few days back, that's for $899 right now, and most likely it'll go down in the future. So I would rather spend 200-300 dirhams more and actually get a phone that then has a better display, better camera, a better chipset as well. But again, if you're looking for a budget phone and if you're looking for the bare minimum, then look no further. This is a great phone for beginners, and if you want to have a phone just for making phone calls, you don't really care about performance, you don't really care about anything else, then yeah, Samsung A14 5G for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.